What's up guys, this is Steve for Android at Night, and today I'm going to be showing you how I use Nova Launcher on my phone. This is my favourite Android launcher pretty much of all time. It's the one I use the most for all of my different custom setups. Also, whenever I do any of my app lists or reviews, I'm probably running Nova Launcher for those as well. There are some other launchers that I do use from a day-to-day basis, and I'm going to be doing a video on my top 10 launchers very soon, so subscribe if you want to see that. But for now, I'm going to be showing you my ultimate guide for how to set up Nova Launcher and get this to look exactly how you want it to look. So I'm going to use AZ Screen Recorder to record my phone so you can more easily see what I'm doing, and if you want to try that out, there's a link in the description. Alright, so the first thing in Nova Launcher is getting to know the settings. So if you long press on an empty home screen, it will pull you up this little carousel option and you can see all of your different pages. At the top of these pages you can see there's a little home button. If you click on this home button, that will set that page as your home page. So if I scroll across here and set this blank page as my home page. So with this carousel of screens, if you scroll all the way to the right, you can see there is a plus button, and this allows you to add extra empty pages to Nova Launcher. So there's a couple of reasons why you'd want to do this. For example, if you're using custom live wallpaper, you sometimes need a certain amount of empty home screens open, and this is a really easy way to get those. So the way that I normally use Nova Launcher is for one screen setups. I will occasionally have widgets on another screen, but generally I use an app called Snap Swipe Bar, and this means I can swipe down from the top right hand corner of the screen and this will open up a panel of widgets. The really cool thing about this is it doesn't just work on your home screen, it will also open up over any app. So that is the main reason why my Nova Launcher setups are generally really simple. So if we long press on the home screen again and go into the settings, you can see we've got a load of different things to play with. In your desktop, the most important setting is your desktop grid. And you can use this if you want to add more to your home screen. So for example, I normally run it with a 10:5 position. So just to show you what this does, we're going to go to a blank home screen and we're going to add a couple of apps. And you can see when I long press and hold to move any of these little sub-grid positions appear. And this is basically showing you the grid size of your home screen. If you're using something like Super Widgets, you can actually max out the desktop size of your home screen, and this will give you a little bit more control. You can long press on a Super Widget and hit resize. And because you've got so many points for the desktop grid, you can really easily fine tune exactly how you want the widget to look. Although of course you need to keep in mind that this is going to make all of the icons on your home screen smaller because they need to fit within the grid. So the next thing that I love about Nova Launcher is the application drawer, and this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can enable the pixel style swipe up animation to open all of your apps, which I think looks really nice. The other cool thing you can do is actually put folders within your app drawer, and this is a feature which is pretty much unique to Nova Launcher. So you can see I've got folders for camera, customization, entertainment, games, life, news, shopping, social stuff, tools, travel, and YouTube. I then have a bunch of these apps down here which I haven't yet categorized, so I'm going to show you how you can categorize apps really easily within Nova Launcher. Obviously you can drag them just to your home screen like this, and you can drag them on top of each other and this will make a folder. You can then long press on this folder and hit edit, and this will give you the option to select swipe to open folder. This basically copies what Action Launcher does. It means if you tap the app once, it will launch the first app in that folder. So in my case it's Dead Trigger 2. But if you swipe up on it, it will launch it as a folder. So it's a really easy way to make your home screen look a little bit more minimal, and it's what I tend to run most of the time. You can see the dock at the bottom of my screen here is all of this. So if I tap on my social folder, it goes to Phoenix, but if I swipe up, it opens all my social apps. One quick thing to note is if you're running this with the swipe up pixel action, you don't want to have that folder in the middle because that will interfere with the swipe up action. So for example, if I swap my Play Store for my entertainments folder, you can see swiping up will launch the folder rather than open all my apps. You can still do it if you swipe just on the caret, but it's a little bit harder to hit. So that's how you add folders to your home screen, but the cool thing is when you add them to your app drawer, and the easiest way to do this is to grab an icon, so for example Dead Trigger 2, and then drag it to where it says edit in the top right hand corner of the screen. This will give you a list of all the folders you've already created, and if you scroll to the bottom you can see it says new group. I'm not going to make a new group because I'm just going to add this to my games folder. But basically these groups act as folders and you choose which folder they appear in. This will get rid of them from the main app drawer and it'll make them reappear within that folder. Then if you want, you can also go even deeper. So for example, in my customization folder, I have more folders within that folder. So I've got icon packs, launchers, live wallpapers and wallpapers. The easiest way to add lots of stuff quickly to a folder is to hit on the 3-button overflow and go to select apps. And this will mean you can just see a list of all of your installed apps that aren't already in a folder, and you can just click them and add them with one click. And the other thing you can do from this is actually add other folders to be inside that folder. So you can see at the top here, you've got a list of all the other folders in Nova Launcher. So if you want your icon packs and your launchers and your live wallpapers to appear within your customization folder, you can. The other cool thing with these folders in your app drawer is you can long press them and add them to your home screen. And these will then sync across. So if you add or change anything in your app drawer, it will change on your home screen. It's a really useful way of being able to really quickly rebuild home screens. So even if you are constantly wiping it in order to use, say, like custom live wallpaper or something that needs just a blank home screen, you can really quickly add folders and get all that functionality back without having to add every single app every single time. So within my app and widget drawer, I have the card background turned on, and I also have this swipe to open option turned on, which gives you the Google Pixel style open animation. The other thing to get this pixel effect is if you go into settings and go into desktop, you can scroll down to where it says page indicator. You want to set this to none, and underneath you want to check the swipe to draw indicator, and this will make it look like pixel. And then the background I'm using is dark material. I do change this up depending on the wallpaper that I'm using, but generally I like to keep this dark. I think it looks a little bit more simple and a little bit smarter. Then if you want, you can also toggle a search bar in your app drawer. It's actually quite useful and lives at the top above all of your folders. So in my dock, I normally have the icon size set to 125%. I think this looks a little bit better on the Google Pixel. This size is obviously going to depend on whichever phone you're rocking. I also have it set so that you don't see the label underneath. I think the label looks a little bit cheesy, a little bit tackier, and I think your home screen looks a little bit cleaner if you don't have that. You can also set it so that you can have multiple dock pages. So for example, if you go onto 2 dock pages, you can see here, whoops. This means you can swipe to have another page of dock icons. I personally don't use this, so I generally leave it turned off. But it is a nice way of adding more stuff if you're rocking a really minimal home screen. The other thing with my dock is I quite often toggle it on and off depending on the setup that I'm running. So I have it set so that if I swipe down with 2 fingers on the screen, it will toggle the dock. So this means I can get rid of it really easily if I'm running a really minimal setup. And equally I have it set, and I also have it set so that a swipe up with 2 fingers will toggle my notification bar. So this means just with 2 gestures, I can go from a full home screen with a dock and a notification bar to something a little bit more simple. This is the great thing about Nova Launcher. It's so customizable and you can really make anything you want in terms of home screens. As I briefly touched upon, gestures and inputs is where it gets pretty interesting and powerful with Nova Launcher. You can set stuff up to work pretty much however you want it. You can turn your OK Google command on, which means that you'll be able to say OK Google when you're in your home screen and it should work. The cool thing at the top here is adding extra functionality to your home button. So I always have it set so that my home button goes straight to Google Now. And I also have it set so it only does this on the default page. So if I'm on a different home screen, if I tap home, I jump back to my home page. If I tap it again, it launches Google Now. This is basically instead of having that swipe left for Google Now functionality, which you can get using something like Action Launcher, or obviously if you use the stock launcher or the Pixel. Then at the bottom here, you can configure all these different gestures. There's a huge amount of them. You can customize them to do pretty much whatever you want within Nova Launcher. You can set some really weird ones, so like rotate counterclockwise or rotate clockwise with 2 fingers. So I also have this set to toggle my notifications and my drawer. And this is a gesture you're not going to do accidentally, so you're not accidentally going to trigger it and change your home screen without wanting to. If you want to change the icon pack of Nova Launcher, you go into Look and Feel and you go into Icon Theme. And from here you can see you've got a list of all of your installed icon packs. I run huge amounts of icon packs all of the time. I'm changing them up pretty much every day. And I love that you can do it in Nova Launcher with just a click. So there you go. You can see it changes all of your icons in just a single click. You can see at the top here, because I was messing around and resizing this Zupa widget, it's gone a little bit weird. So I'm just going to go into it and increase the scaling, which should make it look a little bit smarter. And this is one of the other great things about Nova Launcher. All wallpapers, all widgets, everything is going to work with it. If there's an app that works with any launcher, you can guarantee it's going to work with Nova Launcher. Adding widgets in Nova Launcher is a breeze. You literally just long press, choose widget, then just drag whichever one you want to your home screen. So we are going to go for a 4x1 Zupa, which is probably my favorite widget shape ever, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Then I'm just going to set this up as you would any other Zupa widget. So we're going to go with a flat UI skin. And we are going to go with this one at the top here. And we're going to oversize it quite a lot. There we go. And then the cool thing with Zupa widgets, especially on Nova, is they respond really well to being resized. So I'm going to get rid of my notification bar, and I'm just going to resize this Super widget. I'm now going to tap on it. Oh. And I'm now going to resize it again within Super. And then hit done. And you can see here this will re-expand to fill the top of the screen. So just using Nova Launcher and Super widgets with the flat UI skin, it takes sort of like a minute and a half to get this really cool Google search widget at the top of your screen. Live wallpapers are also a breeze to set, as well as also normal wallpapers. You just scroll across, you can see a list of them all installed here. The current one we're using is this Thunderstorm live wallpaper. So I'm going to change it to Forest, which is one of my favorite live wallpapers, and I am going to be doing a video on all of my favorite live wallpapers over the next week or so, so subscribe if you're interested in seeing that. But you can see here, with just a click, changes really easily. I've often had wallpapers that don't work with some launchers. I've never had that experience using Nova Launcher. And talking of using multiple themes and multiple home screens, Nova Launcher has a really good backup section. So if you go into Nova settings and go to backup and import, you can see you've got a backup option here, and you can just name it. I'm going to call it Snow Forest. And then you can either choose to share it or you can save it to your device. I'm just going to save it to my device storage. But the cool thing you can then do is restore or manage, and you can get this either from your device storage or from a cloud storage thing that is signed in on your phone. So I have a lot of these backups saved in my Google Drive. So I'm going to restore that Forest backup that I just made, and you can see it pretty much So I've just restored that Forest backup, and you can see it works pretty much perfectly. The only issue is with widgets. It knows that there is a widget there, but it won't be able to completely reload it. So for example, if you're using Super widget, you do need to go back and actually edit that widget again, which is a little bit frustrating. It would be great if the backup would do all of this for you. And if the widget is something like this rad pack clock, you literally just tap it and redo the settings, and you've got the widget back in a couple of clicks. Another new feature which Nova Launcher has taken from the Google Pixel is the ability to long press on an icon on your home screen and then jump to those little quick settings or quick actions. So if you long press on Chrome, for example, if you long press on Chrome, you get the option to go into a new incognito tab or a new tab. And then similarly, if you long press on the Play Store, you get the option to go to all of your apps. This actually works pretty well within folders on your home screen as well. So if I swipe up on Phoenix, this will open my social folder. And if I long press on phone, you can see this will open some of my most used contacts. So I guess the last thing to talk about with Nova Launcher is how to get these notification badges. And in order to get them, you want to go to the link in the description and download the Tesla Unread plugin. Then you want to scroll down to where it says Unread Count Badges. And then from here, you can pretty much edit whatever you want in terms of how these notifications will look. You can have them small, medium, or large. I tend to go for small, and I tend to have them in the bottom right-hand corner. You can also change how it looks. There's a couple of presets, and then you can also edit this yourself as well. So within Look and Feel, you can not only change your icon pack, but there's also a couple of cool options. One of them is this normalize icon size. Basically, this will take icon packs so there's no unified size, and it will resize them all so they look a bit more uniform. It's quite difficult to tell. It's quite often a really subtle change, but it definitely makes icon packs look a little bit better on your phone. You can also change things like the screen orientation as well as the animation and scroll speeds. I tend to have the animation speed set as fast. This makes everything a little bit snappier, but still maintains the animation so everything looks really nice. You can also change the app animation, which is really nice. If you're running the most recent version of Android like I am, I tend to use the system one because I think they look the best. But if you are running an older version of Android, or you just want to have a play with it, you can make it say, do circle, which looks like that. Another cool thing you can change is to have dark icons in your notification bar. So if we turn this on, you can see they become black. Obviously this works best if you're using a wallpaper which is predominantly white. So if you apply this polygon light wallpaper, which is from the Facets app, so you can see these dark notification icons look really cool if you've got a light background. I'm probably going to go ahead and just change these icons just to go something a little bit darker. So you can see here it's registering some of these swipe to open folders as normal folders. This is fine. Nova Launcher Beta will occasionally do this. All you need to do is go back into your settings, scroll to the bottom to where it says Advanced, and then you want to hit Restart Nova Launcher. Obviously it's a little bit annoying that you have to do this at all, but it fixes it really quickly, and if you've got any issues with Nova Launcher, that's the easiest way to troubleshoot them. And then I guess the last thing to talk about is going back to widgets. So I'm going to add 2 different Super Pro widgets at the same time, just so I can show you how you can achieve overlapping effects to make widgets fit a little bit better on your home screen. So we're going to go back into Flat UI. This is by far one of my favorite Zupa widget packs. I use it for a lot of my custom home screens. So you're going to scroll down and find something which we can use to demonstrate. So we use this one as quite a lot of alpha. So I'm just going to resize this, and as I said, Zupa and Nova work so well together in terms of resizing. You can see here that I can resize this over the other widget, and you might think this is completely unnecessary and overkill, and a lot of the time it is, but it does mean that if you are layering different widgets on your home screen, you've got a little bit more flexibility. So you can see I've re-added that search widget at the top, and this hi, how can I help you widget, I can actually resize and overlap if I want to. Obviously I'm not going to want to overlap that particularly, it doesn't look great, but it does mean I've got extra control in terms of where I want that widget to sit. So if I want it to sit right underneath the search bar, I can completely cover it and rearrange it like that. So to make it so you can actually overlap widgets, you want to go to your desktop settings again, you want to scroll to the bottom and you want to tick overlap when placing and widget overlap. And I'll just show you what happens if you turn these settings off and then go back and try to move this widget. You'll see that when I try to move one, the other one will move out of the way. The last thing to mention in the desktop settings is this show shadow option. This gives you a slight shadow at the top and bottom of your home screen. So you can see here, you basically can't see my navigation buttons, and the only reason you can see my notification bar is because they're set to dark. But if you go back to desktop, scroll to the bottom, hit show shadow, you can see it makes my nav bar buttons visible, and if I did have, and it makes your notification bar stand out a little bit as well. It also stops wallpapers feeling too flat, it sort of fits them more nicely to the screen, and I think generally results in a better looking home screen. And I think that's everything, guys. I've been running through this fairly quickly and it's all been a little bit ad hoc, but let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you want to know about Nova Launcher. As I said at the start, if you want to get all of these features to work, you do need Nova Launcher, you need Nova Launcher Prime, and if you want those pixel setting features, you also need to be running Nova Launcher Beta. The beta is very, very stable. I wouldn't treat it like a beta. It's effectively like getting some extra settings for nothing. And that's really easy to get. You just need to sign up with the link in the description. So there you are, guys. That is how I set up Nova Launcher on my phone. Do go ahead and comment below if there's something that I didn't cover and you want to know about, or if there's something that I've left a little bit unclear. But thank you very much for watching. As always, this has been Steve for Android at Night, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.